Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is The Boost. And yes, you may not need boosting, but guess what? You may know somebody who does. Let me play a little something for you. Yes, that song, if you don't know, and I don't think it was written by Billie Holiday, but she sure did do a good job of it. Go to YouTube and hear her do it. It's God Bless the Child that's got his own. The question is, if you don't have anything, how can you have something that's your own? Guess what? You do it by what is in your brain, what our Creator has put in your head. That's intellectual property. Yes, there are billions of dollars made on intellectual property. You know, some by Michael Jackson. Let me play you one here that was created years ago. That's intellectual property. And guess what? You can probably tell me who owns that intellectual property right now. But for something to come from within your head, how does it occur? I'm going to read to you a little bit out of this book. I'm not going to tell you what the book is. If you recognize it, so be it. I don't want you to have any preconceived idea of what you're going to hear. I don't want you to have any preconceived ideas once I start reading it. Just be patient and listen to it. I will also show you an interlinear reference to this particular book, which puts a number on every word. And we're going to go into detail about this later, but it's not necessary right now. Let me just show you how you can get into your own intellectual property, how you can basically allow the things to flow from you, which will be such, you'll live in the flow of a spiritual blessing. Now run and tell that. In the beginning, somebody created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep. And the spirit of somebody was hovering over the waters. Again, I said I didn't want to get too spiritual. I don't want to turn off you atheists. Those of you who know, I'm not trying to hide the truth because you already should have heard that. But let me put a little drop something into you differently, into your soul, which includes your spirit, your mind, your heart, and your will. Let me drop something in this right now. You might be in prison right now. And you're sitting up wondering, why did God put me here? You might be innocent, or you might be guilty. You might be wondering, why did I do such a stupid thing and let somebody else trick me into taking the crime and doing the time when they're out spending the money? But guess what? You might be sitting as an administrator. You might be the leader of a great organization. Yes, you might be. Yet you don't know how to give to your people. You don't know how to empower them. Just watch this, and guess what? Some of those that'll proceed, and just understand that you can subscribe now to www.AMIE.tech. That's AMIE. That's Advanced Medical and Miscellaneous Informatic Education. You can empower others. You can do this. You can empower yourself to create intellectual property, like you heard with those notes there. Let me finish this particular reading here. And somebody said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Now somebody saw that the light was good. Somebody. And somebody separated the light from the darkness. Now these are just a few words from the beginning of the book, which I'm going to put to the side. Now you heard some verbs in that, which I used to hear this preacher a long time ago, and I used to listen to him intently. he always emphasized something. He said, look at the verbs. Why? Because here you are sitting and you're not doing nothing. A reference was made to some sons who were starving to death. And they were just looking at each other. Their father said, go down there where you know where the food is. Go get you some food. Go get us some food down there. You know, it's a little trek, it's a couple of days journey, you know, a few days. But the verbs are what move you, and show movement. And guess what? That's what people are looking at. What kind of verbs are you involved in? Are you fornicating? Oh my goodness, why did I say a word like that? Are you empowering? That's a verb. Those are verbs with the ing. I think that means, in that case, it's some kind of participle. But anyway, we're not going to get too deep into English. You heard 3 verbs. One of them was this person that we talked about said something. Guess what? What are you saying nowadays? I mean, I'm sick all the time. I just don't know what I'm going to do. Are you saying that? Are you seeing some things that other people aren't seeing? Now, in medical circles, we call that hallucinating. This last current testimony, which unfortunately I watched all day and I wasn't supposed to. The first witness that came up and said that she experienced something. They could have said that she was hallucinating, that she had visual and guess what? Auditory hallucination, but that would have been real dangerous. And guess what? In a state of consciousness, the second person that came up, you all know who I'm talking about, said that basically that didn't happen with him. He didn't say it didn't happen. He didn't accuse this person, the first person, of hallucinating because he knew that would basically be calling that person crazy. And he would have incurred the wrath of a whole bunch of folks. Okay, let's just put it like this. A bunch of folks of the same sex in particular. Not just of the same party. But the point I'm making to you is that that experience of seeing can be altered in terms of your consciousness. And thank goodness that the Supreme Being has allowed you, at least at this point, to be able to look at this video and see something. You see light bouncing off of me because that person we talked about earlier said, let there be light. Then he saw that light was good, that person, right? This person, it could be you, or he or she could be you. You saw that something was good. You didn't see that it was bad. If you see two things that are happening, two people come up to you, they can see it a different way. One person would see it as good, and one person would see it as bad. But contingent upon you seeing it good or bad is how your verbs are going to move forward. I don't know how to put it any differently. Is that it might freeze you. It might create fear. If you see it as so bad and so foreboding that you can't do anything about it, you're just going to freeze. You're going to be like that deer that sees the headlights. But we're not talking about that particular set of circumstances. If you don't fear, you don't see something and you don't fear it, guess what? You're not going to freeze. Epinephrine, fight or flight, is not going to come out and allow you to freeze. Guess what? You're going to fly. Or you're going to be ready to fight. Fight or flight, okay? And it's not going to freeze you. Especially if you have an understanding and you have practiced this particular scenario over and over again. This is what they do in martial arts. If you find yourself high in the air and you're about ready to get thrown, you best to know, like from judo, how to take the fall. And many of us have learned these skills in tumbling, but I don't want to get too far off. We see something that this person said something, and then he saw something, and then guess what? He separated something. And guess what? For you to be creative, you have to basically say something. You basically have to see something. And you separate it. But let me tell you another little secret. Somebody is saying something about you or watching you say something. They see you do something. And guess what? They're doing something. Either talking good or talking bad about you. Or they're separating something and saying, that is good that I see of that bird, or that is bad, depending upon their level of faith. On that note, we're going to conclude. This is The Boost. I'm just trying to show you. You can get us at www.amy.tech. You can be a creator of what? Intellectual property.